The rifle fire suddenly ceased, leaving his ears ringing in the silence. "Guards!" It was Loret. When Bock turned around to look back at the undersecretary, the little man was trembling with anger. The undersecretary's eyes nearly bugged out of his head, and his complexion was fiery red. Bock's gaze slid over to where Rhea lay sprawled on the floor, with 3 paralyzer rifles shoved into her back and buttocks. No. At the back of her neck, the small of her back, and into the back of her leg, right under the meat of her buttocks. 1 paralyzer ray was enough to jolt a person into unconsciousness. 3 would stop her heart if they all fired simultaneously. Rhea was quick and slippery. Although he had no idea why she had dove toward the Ralstone, Bock had learned long ago not to question her motives. But to see her lying there, panting in pent-up rage, surprised him. Bock started to wonder how the guards had managed to subdue her when she turned her head and looked over at him. From her cheek to her ear, her flesh was scorched, raw and bleeding. It explained the stench still clinging in the air. Anger slowly rose to color his face. Where the guards were aiming, each would be a mortal shot, guaranteeing an agonizing death. Bock looked up to find Loret no longer holding the Ralstone down. The little man was standing now over Rhea, but watching Bock to see if he would obey. "Nice try, Gammon, but as you can see, we have a bit more firepower on our side." "Let us go, Loret," Bock rasped, feeling the gold flecks coating the inside of his throat. His eyes were burning, and tears wetted his cheeks. "Not until you give me back the replacement." A glance down at where Rhea sat, hunched over his feet, gave him an idea. Silently, Bock prayed she'd understand what he was going to do. Snagging her jumpsuit, he pulled her into his embrace. In the next second, Bock jerked back her chin, exposing her throat, and pressed the nose of the little neuralizer against her carotid artery. His action surprised them all. "No deal, Loret, until you give me back my crew member," he hissed between clenched teeth. Rhea briefly struggled, forcing him to bend her head back even further. She stilled, and he could feel the rapid beating of her heart. For a fleeting moment, the sense of it reminded him of other times when she would lie across him after a sheet-soaking hour of love-making, and he could feel the rhythmic thudding in her chest. Bock frowned, fighting the flood of memories, and tried to concentrate on Rhea's predicament. Loret stared at Bock as a humorless smile slowly crossed his face. "Nice bluff, Commander," the Undersecretary said with a nonchalant tone. "But you and I know you're not going to harm her, not the woman you've been banging with increasing regularity ever since you picked her up from the medical facility." Once Bock knew his mouth was hanging slightly open in shock, he quickly shut it. Loret's sick smile grew broader. "So what was it you did in the bridge which kept me from listening in on your conversations? Too bad you never had the thought of doing the same thing in the Ralstone's cabin." He laughed softly, nodding. "Oh, yes, your antics were quite entertaining. All that noise, not to mention the hushed conversations you thought were private. Too bad there was no video to go with the audio. I would have given anything to see the 2 of you in action." Waving a hand at Bock, the Undersecretary suddenly grew serious. "Go ahead. Fire that whatever it is in your hand. You won't do it. Even if you did, I still have your crew member." "Forgive me, Rhea." The prayer was on his lips when Bock moved the weapon's tip a fraction of a millimeter and fired the powerful little neuralizer. Rhea's body reacted exactly as he'd hoped. Every nerve ending flared, and a microsecond later, every muscle constricted. Rhea's body jerked spasmodically as it fought the pain eating away at it. Tongues of blue lightning sizzled under her skin, setting it alight with an almost celestial glow. Her body and organs would not suffer any permanent damage from the weapon, but if she had not lost her ability to feel pain, Rhea would be in excruciating agony. "Scream!" he breathed into her ear as he struggled to keep a tight grip on her. Rhea shrieked as her body writhed. Around them, the guards remained frozen where they stood as they watched Rhea's reactions.